A man behaves crazily and goes on a rampage against all the police officers, killing them with ease. He has high-tech weapons all over his body, making him nearly invincible. But some elite military soldiers arrive at the scene and they use high-tech weapons to defeat him. David Martinez is a teenager who lives with his mother, Gloria, while struggling with the little money they have. David studies at the prestigious Arasaka Academy. David also needs to update his cyberware if he is to continue his classes, but he does not have the money, so he illegally modifies his cyberware with the help of a local technician called Doc. However, during class, his illegal modifications cause his entire class's system to crash. David is caught immediately, and his mother Gloria is called by the headmaster, so Gloria agrees to pay for the damages. On the way back, Gloria scolds David for not buying the proper licensed update and instead using a pirated version. David does not want to study anyways. He wants to drop out and start working immediately. Gloria gets sad, as everything she does for David's future. Suddenly, some men shoot at the van across from them. David and Gloria get caught in the middle and they get into an accident. The emergency medical team arrives at the scene, but since they're not a part of their hospital system, they just leave them there. David watches helplessly as Gloria just lies on the ground like that. David takes Gloria to a cheap hospital. There, Gloria goes through surgery and she survives, but she is still badly injured. To pay for the surgery, David uses Gloria's savings. Suddenly, he sees some military-grade Sandevistan implant that Gloria apparently stole. It's the same one that the crazy man was wearing at the very beginning. The next day, a rich and spoiled kid called Katsuo insults David and worse, his mother. Katsuo implies that Gloria does nasty things under the table to pay for David's education. David gets angry, so Katsuo uses this as a pretense and he beats up David using his special implants. And on top of that, David gets informed that Gloria's health became worse that day and she died. David is in shock. He cannot even afford to bury his mother properly, so he gets her cremated and he receives her in a small box. David has no money, and even his home's rent is past due. So David wears his mother's nursing jacket to honor her. Then he takes the Sandevistan implant and goes to Doc, the same man who gave him the faulty update. Doc says that some important people in town are looking for that implant so no one will buy it, but David is here to implant it into his own body. After a bit of convincing, Doc agrees to do it, and they go through the extremely painful surgery of implanting the Sandevistan into David's body. David immediately goes to school to take it out on Katsuo. Katsuo uses his own fighting implant, but David is much stronger and much faster now. He assaults Katsuo in class in front of everyone. Katsuo's father, Tanaka, is an executive at Arasaka Institute. Tanaka sees that David does not have any side effects from the Sandevistan, unlike the man who had it before him, so he plans to use David as a test subject. Meanwhile, David is walking around Night City aimlessly. He comes across a beautiful woman named Lucy who is stealing chips from people's bodies. Lucy tries to steal David's chip as well, but he uses his new powers to stop her. Lucy is impressed by his abilities, so she invites him to work with her as a thief. Lucy uses her powers to pull out the chips while David uses his speed to collect them. After they sit to check their collections, David faints from overusing the Sandevistan. Lucy calls an ambulance, but the nurse gets greedy when she sees the Sandevistan, so Lucy breaks him out of the van like a crazy girl. Then she takes him to Doc. Doc gives him some immunosuppressants that can help his pain. Doc tells him not to use the Sandevistan more than 2 or 3 times a day. His body might handle it, but his mind will go crazy. He goes with Lucy to her apartment. Lucy reveals that she dreams of escaping Night City and living on the moon. There, they use special technology to enter a virtual reality of the moon. They have a nice time exploring the moon's surface, but David is suddenly rudely awoken by a gang of cyberpunks. It was all a scheme by Lucy to stall him. Turns out, the leader of this gang, Maine, bought the Sandevistan from Gloria, but after he paid for it, she just went out of contact. Maine and Gloria were acquaintances who have been working together for a long time now. David reveals that his mother is dead, which is why Maine did not receive the Sandevistan. David reveals that he is Gloria's son. Maine stops hitting him. David asks for a chance to work with them. Maine and the other cyberpunks are skeptical of him, but David shows that he is very compatible with the Sandevistan. Maine agrees to let him work because he is Gloria's son. They send him to steal the data of Maxim, a limo driver for the Arasaka Corporation. David gives Maxim's chip to another cyberpunk, and she starts copying the data. But Maxim gets a call from his boss, so another one of their members stops him while David and Lucy go and steal his limo. However, he immediately sends some bounty hunters after them. David uses the reflexes from his Sandevistan to escape them, but one of the bounty hunters follows them to their hideout. He is about to kill David, but Maine arrives on time and blasts him so badly, the bounty hunter just disintegrates into blood and pulp. Later, as they are celebrating, David meets the man who hired them for this job, a man named Faraday. But Faraday is angry with them all for the ruckus they got into. Now their target has changed locations. He tells them to wait for the next job. Later, he gets a message from his principal who cancels his expulsion and offers him a scholarship because of his excellent academics. But David shuts him down and declines the offer. As a new member of the gang, David runs errands for the gang members. At night, Lucy takes him out to get to know the city better. During the day, Maine teaches him how to use weapons. Over time, David starts getting to know his job better, becoming a true cyberpunk or edgerunner. He becomes a proper member of the gang after going through a lot with them. David also admits that he has a major crush on Lucy, but he's not sure if she feels the same way. One day, the gang is walking back from a night out when one of their members, Pilar, starts harassing a homeless man who's just taking a piss. But suddenly, the man shoots Pilar and kills him instantly. It's a bloodbath. Everyone goes into fighting mode. Pilar's sister, Rebecca, is especially angry and in pain, but Rebecca's guns are of no use. The man targets Lucy, so David uses his Sandevistan to kill him. After the battle is finished, Maine sends David along with Lucy to drop her off at her home. There, Lucy says that she did not take him into the moon VR just to stall him. She really does plan on going to the moon. David promises to help her fulfill her dream. Hearing this, Lucy gets the hots and kisses him. Maine offers Pilar's special cyber hands to David, but David is more fascinated by Maine's cyber hands. So Maine offers to give it to him if he dies. So he's going to die, isn't he? Another gang member, Kiwi, says that their target, Tanaka, has gone underground in hiding. But Kiwi does find out that Tanaka is into pornography VR. Tanaka's main VR supplier is a man named Jimmy who custom makes these erotic VRs by himself. So they go kidnap Jimmy. But Jimmy is too smart for them. He knocks out Maine and David, then he kidnaps David. So Lucy follows them along with Dorio, Maine's girlfriend and the vice captain of the gang. Meanwhile, David wakes up in a place full of dead bodies. He has a gun in his hands. When some soldiers come to stop him, he kills them, all of them. But some military comes and kill him. David wakes up in shock, sweating all over. Turns out, it was just a memory file that Jimmy put him in. Jimmy plans on torturing David until he also becomes a cyber psycho like the one who wore this before and the one who killed Pilar. Just then, Lucy and Dorio come and save David, but Jimmy calls 2 bulletproof drones to shoot them. However, David distracts them with his powers while Lucy hacks them. Jimmy gives up and they take him back to their hideout. There, Jimmy says that the earlier user of the Sandevistan was a soldier who was used to working with cyber input, but he still went crazy because of the Sandevistan. David replies that he can handle it. Still, Jimmy warns him that using the Sandevistan too much can either kill him or make him go mad. Later, they set a trap for Tanaka using Jimmy as bait, but Tanaka won't go down easily and he fights back against them. They manage to stop Tanaka, but Jimmy gets caught in the crossfire and dies. The ambulance starts coming towards them, so they quickly run away. Maine starts losing control of his cyber implants. He randomly blacks out and has severe mood swings. When Kiwi is trying to hack into Tanaka's mind, he attacks her without realizing it. Kiwi is seriously wounded. Dorio says that this condition is called cyberpsychosis. Basically, he's becoming like the crazy man from the beginning of the show and like that homeless person who killed Pilar. Dorio asks Lucy to continue the hacking that Kiwi was doing. Lucy gets scared, but David convinces her to do it. Lucy agrees to do it, but on the condition that Maine is kept away and David is the one who keeps watch over her. Lucy deep dives into Tanaka's mind while David keeps watch. Suddenly, Tanaka gains some consciousness. He begs David not to send him back to sleep. He reveals that he was the one who canceled David's expulsion and gave him a scholarship, all because David has exceptional abilities with the Sandevistan. Also, the gang will probably kill Tanaka because he has seen all their faces. Hearing all these, David starts to hesitate. Dorio and Maine arrive at the scene and they quickly knock out Tanaka. Tanaka's neural connections get destroyed and he dies on the spot. But this sends a signal to the police department, so David takes Lucy back to their vehicle while Maine and Dorio bring Tanaka's corpse. They get into a fight with the police. David tries to help, but Lucy stops him because it's too dangerous. But David goes out because he really cares about Maine and Dorio. Meanwhile, Maine starts losing control while fighting. There's a lot of confusion and Dorio gets shot. Maine is in shock. Maine goes even crazier and he goes on a rampage, killing all the police officers. David tries to convince Maine to escape, but Maine has already given up on himself. He puts Dorio's corpse on a pile of weapons. Maine tells him that he still has a lot to live for. Then he blows himself up along with Dorio's body. David is helpless. He can only salvage Maine's hand, but nothing else. He goes back to Lucy and they drive away while David is traumatized. Many months have passed and David is the new leader of the gang. I mean, why? Lucy, Kiwi, and Rebecca have seniority over him. Just because David is the hero? Anyway, David has become a famous cyberpunk and he has gained a strong reputation amongst other cyberpunks. He has also implanted Maine's hand into his body. They go and fight rival gangs. Their gang has become super powerful and they easily defeat their rivals, consolidating more and more powers in the underworld. They even have a new getaway driver named Falco. Falco says that David will probably become greater than Maine. David goes for his regular maintenance with Doc. Doc also admits that David is more of a natural with cyberware than most others. He tells him about Adam Smasher, the best cyber warrior working for Arasaka Corporation. Adam is apparently so deadly he is viewed as a living legend, a boogeyman. Later, Kiwi sets up a meeting between David and their old fixer, Faraday. Faraday gives him another job. David goes back to his lavish penthouse where Lucy is waiting for him, all naked. Lucy has been taking a break from hacking since the Tanaka incident. That night, Lucy finally reveals her backstory. She was born in an Arasaka facility in another country. Even since they were children, they were forced to become hackers. Arasaka has been looking for something in the old net, which is an internet system that was damaged 50 years ago. However, the old net was full of rogue AI and was dangerous to them. Many of the other children died, so the remaining ones worked together to destroy the facility's defenses, and they escaped. Lucy ran and came to live in the Night City. David's new arm implant starts shaking. Lucy says that she only used to worry about herself all her life. Now, she's beginning to worry about David as well. Elsewhere, an Arasaka agent is investigating Tanaka's old records. He sees that one of the information is missing, probably the information about David and his Sandevistan. Lucy finds him and kills him. With a new mission from Faraday, David goes and kills an Arasaka scientist. He also kills a witness, an innocent secretary, but he starts showing signs of cyberpsychosis, the same thing that happened to Maine. Meanwhile, Arasaka counterintelligence is looking for the cyberpunk who killed their members. They believe that their rival, Militech, is responsible, so they attack Militech's fixers, one of whom is Faraday. Faraday survives the assassination attempt. He goes to Militech to get their protection, but Militech is still angry with him for messing up the Tanaka job and his lack of results. Being understandably angry, Faraday contacts Arasaka's counterintelligence instead. Arasaka's counterintelligence forgives him for all the Tanaka mess, but they demand to know the identity of the hacker who has been killing their agents and preventing them from retrieving Tanaka's memories properly. So Faraday goes to Kiwi to ask for her help. During a mission, David hallucinates, thinking about how he killed the innocent secretary who is now reminding him of his mother. So Rebecca gives him a little pep talk, asking him to ease up on his cyborg implants. Later, David thinks about the innocent woman that he killed. She had a son, just like he himself and Gloria. David faints, so Lucy takes him to Doc to fix him up. Doc gives him the usual intelligent advice: don't use more cyborg implants, but David goes crazy and attacks Doc. He quickly comes back to consciousness and leaves. Lucy confronts him and asks him to scale back on his cyberware implants, but David believes that he has important things to do. David asks Lucy to rejoin the gang, but Lucy also says that she has some things to finish first. Lucy senses another hacker trying to enter Tanaka's files, so she goes to stop him. However, it turns out to be a trap set up Faraday and our very own Kiwi. They knock out Lucy. Faraday asks Kiwi to continue working for him and he'll arrange immunity for her as well at Arasaka. Kiwi believes in the idea that no one should trust anyone else in Night City. This is just business for her. She continues working with David's gang as no one knows what she did. Faraday sends the gang on another mission against Arasaka. Faraday also sends a small and unimportant gang to distract the Arasaka guards. Once their target is off-road, David's team goes for them. David is actually wearing a whole lot of immunoblockers because his cyberware is starting to hurt him. Only Rebecca knows that. David uses his Sandevistan and kills the guards, but turns out the main vehicle is on autopilot. Turns out it was just an ambush set up by Faraday and the Arasaka company. But the gang still manages to use some special tactics to stop the Arasaka vehicle. Suddenly, they are attacked by an entire freaking battalion of Militech soldiers. So, they go inside the Arasaka truck. It turns out to be a cyberskeleton, a high-grade military cyberware that is more powerful than David's Sandevistan. Just then, Faraday uses Lucy to contact David. Pretending to use Lucy's voice, he tells David to use the cyberskeleton. David has his doubts, but Lucy urges him to do it or the oncoming Militech army will kill them. Rebecca is against the idea, but David goes ahead with the installation with a little help from Kiwi. Kiwi and Falco go out to keep watch, but she knocks him out and escapes. Just then, Lucy gains consciousness and breaks out. She calls David and tells him that it was all a trap by Arasaka to capture David as a test subject. But Faraday knocks out Lucy and captures her. Then he tells David to use the cyberskeleton and save his gang from the Militech army approaching them. David starts going crazy because of the cyberskeleton, but Rebecca hits him with immunoblockers and prevents that from happening. Falco also comes in and tells him that Kiwi betrayed them. David uses the cyberskeleton that allows him to create gravitational fields and combines it with his Sandevistan powers to absolutely annihilate the Militech battalion. David starts losing his sanity, but recovers just long enough to go save Lucy and take their revenge on Faraday. They go straight towards Arasaka headquarters while Militech chases after them, but they go full Mad Max and David uses his powers to destroy the Militech soldiers. But he starts hallucinating his mother, so Rebecca uses his immunoblockers, but they're starting to run out. She says that the only one who can save David's sanity now is Lucy. Kiwi starts fearing for her life, so she decides to run away from Night City, but Faraday shoots her, so she runs away from him. Since David is becoming more and more dangerous, Arasaka Company sends out Atom Smasher, the legendary warrior who works for them. Kiwi is dying, so with her last breath, she sends them Faraday's location. Faraday's men kill her, but she only goes down after killing one of them. Falco reaches Faraday and David gets on top of him. Together, they go to Arasaka's tower. There, David uses the very last vial of his immunoblocker. Then, he enters Arasaka and goes full hell on all the soldiers. He smashes Faraday to the ground. Atom Smasher arrives to stop David, but Faraday starts running away and David gets distracted. Using this chance, Atom Smasher stabs him, so David quickly gathers up Lucy and gets out. He starts going cyber psycho, but Lucy kisses him and brings him back to sanity. Lucy is worried that David will die because of the cyberskeleton, but David does not care. All he cares for is Lucy's safety. Atom Smasher comes to disturb their romantic moment, and in their crossfire, Faraday falls to his death. David and Lucy go back to their friends, but Atom Smasher smashes Rebecca into the ground and she dies instantly. He injures Falco too. Adam has a Sandevistan as well. David has a Sandevistan and the cyberskeleton, but he starts vomiting and losing his sanity. Lucy tries to hack Atom Smasher, but it does not work. So Falco takes her and runs away while David holds Adam back. Falco gives David's final message to Lucy, that he's sorry that they couldn't go to the moon together. David has the cyberskeleton of higher technology, but Adam is the more experienced fighter. Adam beats the everlasting crap out of David, but David goes down laughing, happy that Lucy is safe. Sometime later, Lucy goes to the moon on a tour. There she sees David smiling and laughing in front of her, and then he's gone. She's all alone. Lucy smiles sadly with the memories that she has of the man she loved. If you enjoy the series, don't forget to leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching!